What's that? Who there? Whoa.
If you had to write a startup manifesto with 5 of the most important key lessons or pitfalls to avoid when starting out building a company, what would they be?
Yeah, I think, let's see, 5 key lessons. The first is, I don't know. I think I've always appreciated when people have had or I've appreciated my co-founder a lot. I can't imagine doing this journey solo. And so for anyone listening, like if you are planning to find a co-founder, just find someone you trust who has complementary skill sets. And I know that's such a cliche thing to say, but like this trust piece, I've watched, in my time in venture, and even just like in my social group, watching other friends go through entrepreneurship. When you find someone you trust, there's a lot of unspoken things. You don't there's like it's almost like you don't have to worry about the ego piece where like when you start a company together, there's like little ego things like, oh, who should be the CEO? Like, what should the equity split be? Oh, wait, he like criticized me. Does that mean he's attacking me personally? A lot of that stuff kind of just disappears when you find someone you trust. It's just unspoken. And I think that saves a lot of time, a lot of anguish, a lot of worry, that, energy that could be better spent towards running the business. The other thing is like, it's natural to want to find a friend who's just like you. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to hang out with you 24/7. It's going to be so fun. But gosh, like if you don't have complementary skill sets, it's not going to be that great. Fortunately, Keishan and I are very opposite in many, many ways. And I think we got lucky, frankly, is the truth. But in hindsight, it's like find someone who you get along with, but maybe you're just like kind of annoyed at their working style because they're so different than you. That's what me and Keishan were. We worked on the same team. I would not say we got along from like a working standpoint, but socially we like loved each other and we hung out all the time. But he was just a very different working style, and that ended up being a beautiful part of our current co-working relationship. The second thing is, I would say when you start a company, uh, choose a mission and a vision that really aligns with your own personal values and goals in life. Uh, I've always stated this very like broad I mean, it's not a social contract. It's like a personal construct of how I view the world, which is like, I want to accelerate people's progress through Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That could mean many things, right? But for me, it's like, okay, that means that fundamentally, if I work on like the lowest rungs of that ladder and I take care of these like scarcity needs, then generally I'll be very happy because I feel like I'm actually doing something useful and productive in society, and like I'm helping people progress towards, self-actualization. And so whether that's education, tech, or like democratizing like financial freedom, but right now it's very much like food, health, and nutrition. And so I feel personally fulfilled every single day. And like there were other reasons why I started this company, like my own family's health, but like that broader mission makes me like want to keep going in like the shit storms, all the terrible moments, is like I just feel very fulfilled. And I think it's really hard to fake that enjoyment when you're working on this like day to day for like 5 to 10 years. So give yourself that like greater purpose, and I think it's just gonna make you feel, it'll align a lot of things. The third thing is, I would say, like never stop talking to your customers. For us, even when we were doing like that demand testing, that was all getting in front of customers, emailing them, asking them why they wanted to buy the product. When we were doing R&D for like a year, we built a beta community on Facebook and we built it to 3,500 people at the time. And these were people that we were talking to. We were scheduling user interviews with. We were like constantly polling them, asking them for feedback. It's just so important to ensure that you're building the right thing, because you just get in your own head all the time as a founder, and you make these like really stupid decisions because it's you or you and your co-founder, and you think that everyone else thinks the same way you do, and no one generally does. So, it's the fourth thing is like in an early stage startup, like veer towards speed as a habit, especially when it comes to like making and executing upon decisions. That's really the only advantage you have against big companies at the early days. And so, it's kind of like the move fast and break things. Like you can get away with that as a young company, you can't later on. And so, what is it? Good is the enemy of great or something. I forgot what that term is, but basically, like, well, we say like if you have, was it? It's like the Reid Hoffman quote of, if you aren't embarrassed by the first version of your product, then you've like launched too late, kind of thing.
Yeah, you waited too long. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how we feel all the time. And so, and then the fifth thing I would say is like celebrate your milestones, because it's so easy to get into the cycle of like, oh, I got to think about the next thing. So like raise a round of financing, launch a product. Great. What's the next thing? I got to think about the next thing. And I myself am a common like perpetrator of this where I would always be like, okay, great. Let's just move on. Like there's nothing to celebrate here. Like but I think, I had this like quote on my wall that's just like, remember when you wanted what you have now. And then I have this second quote that's, you can't feel it then if you can't feel it now. So it's kind of like this happiness thing where, you gotta make sure you're celebrating these milestones. If you don't celebrate it now, you're definitely not going to celebrate it at a later point when you actually are successful. And so that one's a little bit more of my like softy one, but it's important.
Yeah, no, that last one's so key though. It's so hard for high achievers to like ramp down for 30 seconds and just like appreciate what's going on, because the reason you got there is because you were so determined, focused, had so much grit. But that's such a great point.